We could do anything. But what you gonna do for it? How you gonna move for it? What you gonna be?
Welcome to A-Train Bets. I'm the A-Train, and I make bets. And so today, in this video, we're going to look at, now arbitrage is something that we've had other videos about, and we've explained it and all of that. But this was a situation that came up on my live stream this morning, and it's one that isn't too uncommon, where I typically don't do arbitrages because in most arbitrages you have one side of the bet is minus EV, one of the side of the bet is plus EV. I'd rather just do the positive EV profitable side of the arbitrage. I don't need to hedge it with the offsetting side. But when you do an arbitrage, you're basically locking in a guaranteed profit, except when you're not. And this example is exactly what happens when I decided, you know what, neither side of this bet was enough to just play by itself, but together I could certainly justify doing it. So what I did was I took one side of the bet, placed it, and then you'll see what happens after that. So this is a case where arbitrage isn't necessarily without risk because things don't always go as you anticipate they will. So with that, watch this this clip from this morning's live stream, and then we'll come back and talk a little bit more about it. Look at that beautiful 155. I really dig that. The minus 140 ain't so bad either, but that 155 is smoking crack over at Barstool and Bet Rivers. The 46 width is a little bit higher than I'd like, so let's see if we can't rein that in a little bit. And at least I can get 154 over at FanDuel. And it's little things that entertain me. 135, that's a little bit better. Let's double weight that. And sure enough, that minus 140 is still looking really good. This is one of those situations where you see good positive EV on both sides. I know I can get more down on the FanDuel side, but we see slightly higher EV on the BetUS side. So which side should we take? Well, I feel fairly confident in my assessment of the market across two sharp books. And I would say I kind of gotta give the edge here to BetUS. I think you play both sides of this if you can. So what I'm going to do, I think the right play here is to go to BetUS and bet what we can, which will hopefully be $140. That's the goal. So I'm logging in there now. And I think this is one of those situations where when both sides are positive EV, take it. Let's take it and let them offset, lock in the profit, and move on. So despite me feeling like arbitrages are generally not the smarter play, you got 2%ers on both sides. Just lock it in. It's fine. You can't decide between the two. You just know both are pretty good. Sounds good to me. So let's go, and we're going to look for player props. Jamal Murray. Let's do Murray, and we want threes. Total points, assists, rebounds, made 3-point field goals. Over 2.5 at minus 140. So we'll add that. We'll try to do 200 on it. They're going to say 140. Not surprising. So that side is in. So now we have 140 at minus 140. Right. And then now what you can do, I don't often do this, but since we're here, so if we bet 100 on the primary bet with minus 140 and 67 on the hedge bet at plus 154 odds, I can do some math here, and instead of it being 100, I did 140, right? So all I have to do, this is actually a good little exercise. We haven't done this before. So all I would do is bring up my calculator, right? And I say, okay, well, 140 was what I bet, divided by 100 is 1.4, right? Times, what did they tell me to do? 67.49 equals 94,486. So if I do $95 over at FanDuel at plus 154 odds, I should be good to go. So that's what I will do. So we'll bounce over to FanDuel and we can just click on the NBA game. That's easy enough. We'll go here and we are going to do player threes and we'll see if we can still get that. If we don't, we're not going to lose any sleep over it. So who was this? Jamal Murray. Yeah, Jamal Murray. There it is. Oh, we wanted 2.5, so it's going to be an alternate, and we want the under So Jamal Murray under 2.5 at plus 142 now is not what we had. We wanted 154. So if I bring up the money machine, and this is such a classic arbitrage risk, right? So you go to make the second bet, and all of a sudden the under on 2.5 has gone down to 142. That's a negative EV play. But what we know is that we already have a positive EV play. We didn't get the other side, but at least we placed the one we liked better first, and then we didn't get the second one. So be it. So that's a great example of how you can change what is an arbitrage intent into just a straight up positive EV play and not really lose any ground. So that's a good little lesson. Maybe I'll turn that one into a video as well. Because I think it's something that's not obvious a lot of times. So So I hope that gave you some perspective on how arbitrages and how things in the moment get a little bit funky. I've done a lot of data leadership and data consulting and things like that. And one of the things I talk about is, it's one of the easiest things I do in that career is stand at the front of the room and tell you how things should be, right? It's easy to go in and teach academically, arbitrages are great because there's no risk and you can do all of these things. Well, you get into the real world and you got to move quick because the lines are going to go away. You have this limited time to try to make decisions in the moment. You don't always make exactly the right call, or sometimes things move and you have to adjust accordingly. And so in this case, what we saw is that the line on one side, after we'd already placed the first positive EV side, we wanted to go to the second side, and then it was gone, right? And so then at that point, it just became, not the best positive EV play, but it was still a positive EV play. So we just ended up with one side of that particular bet, which is fine. That happened in that moment, and that's okay. And like anything, things change and things don't always work out the same way. Or if you get new information, you realize, maybe that bet wasn't as good as I thought it was, or maybe it wasn't a positive EV bet at all. You just constantly are trying to play the game as best you can, right? If it were up to the player and their intent, they'd go and hit a home run every time in a baseball game. Well, they don't. They try, but they don't, right? And so that's the same thing with positive EV betting. We're trying to do the best we can and learn everything that we're trying to do and learn from everything that we fail to do and get better every single day. And that's what I do on my live streams is I'm constantly out there trying to learn, trying to navigate changing lines, changing books, what have you, in the real messy world. Just like in data space, you've got the messy world of all of your day-to-day business. That's not, just as clean as it is in the books. It's not as clean as it is in the theory. And that's what we have to do. It's the applied data analytics, the applied theory in sports betting that makes it so interesting and challenging and fun for those of us who really love putting data to use to make profits in our sports betting. So with that, hopefully you understand, hey, arbitrages, while if you get both sides of the bet in appropriately, then it's a positive EV play. But if you don't, then you have some risk and then you may not even have that. So one key piece of advice before we go is if you're going to play arbitrages, and there's a time and place for anybody to place a risk-free bet, but some people love to do that exclusively. Hey, whatever your risk profile is, that's great. But if nothing else, at least know which side of this arbitrage is the positive EV side. Play that first, because in case you get stuck with only half the bet, at least you're betting the positive EV side, not the hedging side of the arbitrage. So take that away as a key thing to do to improve your arbitrage betting, not something that I focus on because I don't really want to insure those bets or hedge those bets. I'd rather just play a bunch of positive EV bets and let the normal course of win some, lose some, but make more than what the actual odds of those events happening are. That's the positive EV strategy in a nutshell. I'd rather do it that way. But if you're going to do it, at least play the positive EV side first and then hedge appropriately with the other side. And you'll find out that the arbitrages will work out that much better in the end. So with that, thank you so much for your support. If you enjoy this content, please like and subscribe. Go check out my links at atrainbets.com. You can get OddsJam at atrainbets, oddsjam.com, and use promo code atrainbets to save 20% off for life on OddsJam, or join my Patreon community and get my Money Machine spreadsheet, which is constantly getting better and more useful. And check out my live streams, 7:30 a.m. Central and 4 p.m. Central, Monday through Friday, along with whenever I can on the weekend. So with that, thank you so much for your time, and we really appreciate the support. Go win some bets. We'll see you on the other side.